Yeah, Jonathan's like, ah!
We're pumped up.
We're pumped. Have you seen the 14,000 stupid farm and cow puns we've put all over campus at this point? Yeah. Feel free to contribute your own. Welcome to Cow Week. We are excited to do this.
Cheesy puns welcome.
Always. We've been planning this for several months, and I can't tell you how many times in teams we get a pun thread started, and then you hear groaning and laughing and all of it. But we have enjoyed it. So, last call on this one. Is anybody doing this for SLI who hasn't registered? Okay, everybody took care of it. Cool. That's how you get credit. Cool. I'm going to go old school. Jonathan had this spiffy QR code. I do not. I went old school. Just neatly write your name so I can read it, and you will get your SLI credit if you're here for that. If you're just here to be here, thanks for being here as well. All right, so everybody's here for Corralling Opportunities. Have navigated career fair? Yes, good. I'm your host, John Fracchia. I'm a career engagement specialist here at Ithaca College. I have been here for pretty much since before all of you were born. that's mostly true, actually. And today, and I've been through a lot of different career fairs in my time, and so it's really cool that tomorrow we're going to have 85 different organizations here on campus from a whole variety of different fields to talk with you, and they're excited to be here as well. So, a couple of things. Let's talk for a minute about why do we even do these career fairs? What do you think the purpose is? This is a participatory kind of thing. That's just how I roll. What do you think? Thank you. Networking, absolutely. Now, she said the networking word. Raise your hand if you love to network. 1, 2, 3, maybe. If I put these 3 together, I've got like maybe a 4th, 3rd each. Okay. Let's flip that. For whom does networking strike the fear of hell into? Anybody there? Okay, we'll talk about all that in a minute, right? We're not all excited about networking, right? And yet here's this thing where networking is, I feel like I should have rung a bell or handed out a ticket, right? That's definitely one of the things that a career fair is about, right? And yet that creates some tension and angst for us. Why else? What else do you think? Showing how I don't know how to use a clicker as well. What do you think? What else are purposes of career fairs, do you think? We've got networking, yeah.
Like getting knowledge about like different fields or something.
Yeah, right, deepening. We know about fields, right? If I said accountant, do we have any accounting students here? We don't. If I say accountant, we all have an image in our head of what that is, right? But we're probably not entirely correct. Same if I said marine biologist. Do we have any marine biologists here? Right. We have our ideas, and we go to these things, and we talk to people who are working in those fields, and we get a little more knowledge, and hopefully a little bit of warm knowledge. Absolutely. Any other reasons? There's a big one. What could it be? Anybody hoping maybe they come out of this with an internship or a job? Right. We're actually looking for opportunities. So that was the audience. We polled our audience, and finding interesting opportunities was number 1. Right. So this is absolutely about networking. It's absolutely about learning more about different occupations and organizations. But most of these have actual opportunities. And so you could walk away from here with the potential of setting up an interview. Right? That's cool. We're going to meet people at the organizations, and this is sort of networking. And for folks who are a little more introverted, don't like networking, networking is what we do every single day of our lives, right? We're doing it now. It may not feel like it, but we're really just sharing little bits and information about ourselves. I like to frame it in stories because I believe that human beings at our core are storytellers. Let's see if I can prove this to you. First, does anybody doubt me on that? No, not really, but let's just do a little experiment. I want you to take 30 seconds and think of your favorite book from when you were a child. Whatever that might be. You might have had more than one favorite. That's okay too. Everybody got something? Okay. What was your favorite? Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Raise your hand if you know Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Well, lots of, I think almost everybody. Okay. What was one of yours?
Oh gosh.
Is that the one you thought of?
Yeah, actually.
Oh, wow. Really? What'd you think of? Really? Wow, that's weird. That's it's like we have a psychic friends connection going on over here. What'd you think of?
I went younger and
Okay.
went with green eggs and ham, 536.
Green eggs and ham. Raise your hand if you know green eggs and ham. Me too. Can we all see the fox in the box and the mouse in the house? Can we see Sam I am? Can we see, I don't know what the other guy's name is, right? But he's got that plate with those eggs, with those two big green yolks, and he's got that fork, right? With the giant honking piece of ham, right? We all know what I'm talking about. If I said that, we all had one of those images. Now I'm much older than you, like a lot older. It's probably a generation between us actually. And yet, if you said that to me, I know exactly what you're talking about. I can picture reading it as a kid because it's timeless. Stories connect us as human beings. So when you know a little bit about what your story is, and but what I mean by that is your journey, what led you to what you're studying? What do you study?
Screen cultures.
Cool. What do you study? Yeah.
Exploratory.
Exploratory, okay. You are on the journey of exploration. Way in the back, what do you study?
Business.
Business, what do you want to do with that?
I don't know.
Okay, that's all right. That's all right. What do you study?
Business.
Business, okay. What do you want to do with it? Still thinking?
Hopefully make enough money.
Okay. Okay. We're going to refine that a little, but that's okay. What are you studying? Cinematography, okay. What are you studying?
Music ed.
Music ed? How about you? Yeah.
Oh, I'm a screenwriter.
Screenwriter? What did I?
Film and photography.
Film photography. So we have business, we have film, music ed in there. How about you?
Television and digital media.
Cool. Did you tell me already?
Marketing.
Marketing. Okay. Anything here?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm also exploratory. I'm looking at television and digital media.
Okay. Something led you to those things. Even if you're exploring, everybody is exploratory, I guarantee, has one or two things they've at least thought about. Not sure if they want to make the commitment yet, still getting more information, but we have things that led us to Ithaca College. We have things that shaped us as human beings heading toward Ithaca College. When we got here, in some cases we've jumped into our major, and maybe we love our major, hopefully. If not, right, we might pivot. And some of us started with like, okay, a couple of things I'm thinking about and I need to know more and I need to experience more. That's your journey. So when you're talking with an employer or a representative of an organization, they may want to know a little bit about you. All they're asking is kind of what's your story? What's your journey been? And the journey doesn't have to end with, I'm in business and I want to do blah. You might have some ideas of some areas that might interest you, and if you know that, that might frame a question you ask someone, right? But they're not necessarily expecting you to have it all locked down. Do we have seniors? Who are any seniors? Okay. They may present to you, well, here's what this option is, right? I'm going to say for seniors, go in there with a couple of ideas about what you might be thinking about, right? All right. Well, it's about sharing. All right. So, surveying the prairie. Basically starting to think about it. I'm working in as many titles as I can related to this theme. First thing, have a goal in mind. I can't tell you how many career fairs I've been to where I've watched somebody come in, check in, they've got their resume, they might even be dressed up a little, and I watch them walk into the room. Now, extroverts, we're like, okay, it's a room, people here. Introverts, we're like, ah! Because it's a big room with lots of people and tables, and it's a little overwhelming, or it can be, right? And I think part of the reason that's the case is we haven't necessarily gone there thinking, why am I here? what might I want to accomplish here, right? We just know it's a career fair. I should go. There are 85 companies here. I should go, right? So the first thing I want to say to you is tonight, today, whenever, tomorrow morning, think about an element of intentionality. Think about what is something I would like to walk out of here with, right? What conversation might I like to have with someone? What information might I want to glean from an organization? Take 30 seconds, just think about that for 30 seconds. I was gonna say, take 30 seconds and think about it for a minute. That makes no sense. Just think, what might I want to get out of this? Because if you put that out there, now your mind starts to work on it. Raise your hand if you have one. Okay, still thinking, that's okay. Yeah, we have.
Maybe learn something about your desired field, maybe.
Right. You know a lot more about your field than some folks not in it, right? But you probably haven't yet immersed yourself in the environment, right? And so there may be things that that person on the other side of the table, although most of them will probably be standing out in front of their tables, but they may know something you don't, right? And so what I would advise, and this is universal, but in your case, because you raised your hand, I'm gonna say, think about what might be either a knowledge gap I have about my field, or something I feel like I know about, and it's interesting, it fascinates me, and I really want to get an insider perspective on it, right? Anybody else come up with one? It's okay if you didn't. The point is to get you thinking about it, okay? Second thing, here we go. Am I an extrovert or am I an introvert? Now, if you're an extrovert, more likely than not, you don't find going to big events with lots of people draining. You find it energizing. That's great, right? That's okay. You'll go in there, you may not have some of the tension that those of us who are introverts feel. I remember going to a conference early in my career, and part of the reason I went is there was going to be job opportunities. Well, sure, that's good. I worked on my resumes and I was ready to go. Got at the conference after having driven 18 hours. I dressed up, opened the door and looked in and saw this vast picture, something the size of A&E, tables all across, people interviewing. It was like mass interviewing, and my brain melted temporarily. And so I said, all right, pulled myself outside to the lobby area, and I just sat. Just said, all right, before I jump in there, let me get my game on. Let me just think about what is it I need. Okay, one, I need to know who's here. Right, I need to, so I got out the book. This is back when we had the book, right? I looked at it more closely and I read it more deeply, and I just kind of gotten in the right place, and I started to look at, okay, who do I really want to talk to? I could talk to, I don't know, one of maybe 300 colleges and universities from across the country. I don't necessarily want to go to the West Coast this time around. Okay, don't worry about that. Let me focus in here, right? So if you're an introvert, I'm going to say go into this with some intentionality. Just absorb it before you go in the room. If you're not sure, you get there and you're still not sure, and this will be in one of my other slides, but I jump around to what's relevant and as it's coming out of my mouth apparently. Find one of us. The CSEDS, first time I'm using it in a presentation, staff will be there. Many of us will be there. If you're stuck, just say, you know what? When you were talking about this yesterday, this sounded okay, and now I'm here, and I just need a little pep talk, right? And we'll break down, okay, what are you worried about? Or, you know, what do you have a question about? And we'll coach you through it, right? Everybody needs that. Coaching is a part of life, all right? But knowing that going in, where might I struggle, can give you some headspace to, you know, think about how can I work through that. Part of how you get to that, and this is for introverts and extroverts, research who will be there and why they're coming, right? They're coming for a purpose too. In most cases, the purpose is they have opportunities. Might be jobs, might be summer jobs, might be postgraduate jobs. They're also coming to what's called pipelining. For those of you who are non-seniors, some of them are there to meet you now in the hopes that down the road, you might work with them. It's called pipelining. Okay. So if you're a first-year student and there's an organization that's clearly hiring full-time grads, that will be who they're significantly interested in, but it doesn't mean they don't want to talk to you too, right? So kind of look at the organization, think about how does this fit my goal, and might I learn something from them, right? Where do you find that information, do you think? Little pop quiz. Any guesses? Yeah, what do you think?
I think I looked at it. Was it on Engage? I don't.
There's probably a link in Engage, yes.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
There was a link on, I think, the website that led to it on Engage or something.
Yeah. And then we'll actually portal you through to Handshake.
Oh, okay.
So let me say a few words about Handshake. Handshake, you may have heard of, some of you may not have used it yet. It is the site where organizations post job and internship opportunities for IC students and alums, actually. Everybody here has an account. I don't know if you know that, but we gave it to you when you started as a student here. You log in with your NetPass. It's where we run our career fair. So if you go there and you click on fairs, you'll see tomorrow's fair. If you click on that, you'll see who the employers are and why they're there. Do they have jobs? Do they have internships, summer opportunities, etc. Bonus with Handshake, it's where jobs and internships get posted as well. How many opportunities do you think got posted last academic year? Who wants to make a wild guess? Who thinks it's greater than 10,000? Okay. Les, do you think greater than 10,000? Okay, only one person. I think it's greater than 25,000. Seems like a lot, right? 25,000. Yeah. You gonna go higher or lower?
I'll say 25,000.
You gonna stay at 25?
Yeah.
Last academic year in Handshake posted organizations that we vetted and approved to post who requested to recruit at Ithaca, 132,000 jobs and internships. Who thinks Handshake might be worth a look? Right? Okay. See, I do shameless plugging. I'm not in any way averse to that. All right? But that's also your tool for who's at the fair. Prepping your saddle. So this is, we're getting ready to ride.
You're riding a cow.
What's that?
So we're gonna ride a cow?
Yeah.
You can ride a bull.
I was thinking horses, but really I should have figured out sort of cat. Yeah, we're gonna ride a cow.
That's okay. I like that.
Smooth ride.
Update your resume. Now, some of you may have come to Jonathan's excellent session this morning. Okay. You want to bring copies of your resume. This will be one of the few times we'll probably say, print a copy of your resume. Like they used to be the thing generations ago. But now mostly we're doing electronic, right? But at that event, they may be interested in seeing what some of your experiential learning has been. And so that's a way to show them. Practice sharing your story. So what do I mean by that? All right, we talked a little bit about what's your journey been, why did you come to Ithaca, why might you be going to the fair, all that stuff. It's probably good to have a sense if someone asked you a question like, oh, nice to meet you, what do you study? Right, to be able to say more than I study psychology. It was one of my majors, right? I'd want to tell them a little more. I might want to tell them why I study psychology, right? What engaged me about psychology, right? How did that lead to me coming to this event and maybe talking with them, right? So we want to know what's our journey been, but we also want to be able to verbalize it a little bit, right? Think about what you'll wear. Now, back in the day, we used to say, business professionals, suit up. You'll notice, Jonathan, have you ever seen me suited up?
No.
I used to all the time, or tie all the time, and I don't anymore. I kind of feel like I fit this environment. There are some fields where the expectation is suit up, right? If you were interviewing at Goldman Sachs, are you suiting up?
I would most likely suit
Most
up.
likely suit up, right? That may not be true if you're going on a shoot. Are you putting in your finery? No, you're gonna wear shorts or right. So what I would suggest with how to dress for the fair is dress neatly, right? Dress neatly. Business casual, I think, is okay. If you're in a field where you think the expectation is a little more formal and you have it, you can do that. That's certainly not out of place. I recognize also that clothing sometimes is an equity issue, right? If that's true, or you have it but you don't have it with you, we have a career closet on the other side of this wall that exists for anybody who needs something. All right, I'm good, except I don't have a tie I'd like to wear. No problem, come pick out a tie or whatever. We have everything from small things like that to full attire, right? I still have my jacket. Okay, we're here, we're at the career fair. Got our resumes, we feel comfortable in what we're wearing. We know who's going to be here. We know what our goal is. We know what we might even say to them. My gosh. It's the best advice I can give you the day of. If I said the Hangar Theater is coming to the career fair, and I don't think they are this year, but they have in the past. If I said the Hangar Theater, what are they recruiting for? What do you think? They're a playhouse. Sorry, I made an assumption everybody knew what the Hangar Theater was. They're a playhouse. They put on plays. They have a wonderful summer season. If you stay in Ithaca in the summer, you should check out the Hangar Theater. What are they at the career fair recruiting for, do you think?
Probably like backstage tech.
Could be. Yeah, could be doing backstage tech. Absolutely true. Anybody think acting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of people would, right? They have recruited finance interns, marketing people. And so what I mean by avoid assumptions, we tend to categorize as human beings, right? We love to sort of organize things, and we think, oh, I don't need to talk to them. They're here for the Hangar Theater. They want actors. But if you look at what they're recruiting for on Handshake, or you talk to them, you suddenly realize it's broader than that. Or it might not be that at all, it might be this other thing. And so my advice is sort of leave your assumptions at the door. Other thing, if someone says hello to you, and recruiters are often very friendly, you say hello to you and you kind of glance over and you're like, oh, that's not my thing. Have a conversation anyway, be curious. We've talked about what I'll call first level networking. Right? I talk to this person at an organization that is directly tied into something I want to do, and it makes sense, right? But that person working at the organization that maybe at first glance doesn't make sense to me, I don't know who they know. Every organization, nonprofit, for-profit, arts, science, finance, whatever, higher education, is a business. They have finance people, marketing people, right? Everybody has some basic functions. And so often opportunities are much broader than what we think we see on the surface. And that's what I mean by be curious. Does that make sense to you? Good. If you said no, I'd be like, I don't know what to do now. Take your time. Again, I've watched people look or approach the career fair like it's sort of a race to get through it. Like, we have a scorecard. If I get through it as fast as I can, faster than Dave Curry over there, I win. I don't win anything. Take your time. Right? If you feel like you've gone through it, I'm going to advise you, if you don't have to get to class, chill for a minute, process what you've just experienced, maybe go through again. One more look. Sometimes in our rush to find the things we knew about, we miss the things that are less obvious. So let's not miss those. I mentioned this before. There we go. We're on site. Throughout the event, there'll be a CSED staff member. So if you're stuck, or let's say you had an awesome conversation, you're like, oh, what do I do now? Find us. Right? We're here to coach you. We're here because we believe in you and we want you to be successful. Right? We want you to get the outcome you're hoping for and build on it. All right. Right there.
Yeah, go for it.
Be you. We often think, and I see this with interviewing sometimes, that there is a person you're not yet like, yep, they want this person. Well, if you're not the person in your head you think they want, how easy is that to sustain? You might be able to pull it off for 20 minutes in an interview, like a first interview. But a couple of things. One, we're not being authentic. And lack of authenticity shows. Authenticity comes through typically, right? Be you. You're good enough. Bring who you are, not who you think they want. And very few organizations, in my experience, actually want one type of candidate, right? What makes us interesting are the things that are unique about us that we bring in. Work groups work better when there are different ideas, when there are different experiences, right? We do better work for them. And a lot of organizations are aware of that, right? So be you. This one's a little more formal. Get business cards. Many of these organizations will have contact information. I'm gonna use my card. They offer it, take it. If it's one that you're not super excited about, there's no harm in being polite and taking it anyway. You might, on further reflection later, decide, oh, you know, there was something in our conversation that was interesting. And for the ones that you're psyched about, you definitely want to have their contact information. And this will be important on our next slide. Roping opportunity. At the end of the event, this is true after an interview as well, by the way. Sit down, debrief. Right, just went through the big room. If you're like me, you're like, oh, that was a lot, and your head's full, right? Sit down, debrief, take some notes, get a beverage, get a cookie. Who did I talk to that I felt like I connected with, or what opportunity did I connect with? And take some notes. How did I feel? What did they tell me? What are some next steps? Each hour that passes after the event, you start to lean more into the feeling and less into the detail, right? Tomorrow you'll be like, oh yeah, I met with that person yesterday. We had a cool conversation. Right, and it's like, you have to really work. So while it's sort of on top of the brain, get it down. What do I know now? What am I excited about now? Follow up and send thank you notes. Now, when you interview, I suspect you know thank you notes is probably a polite expectation. Not everybody after a career fair would send a thank you note to someone, but if you had a meaningful conversation and you got their card, even if it's not something you might ultimately do, right? Because networking, you don't know ever where networking is going to go. It could lead in some really interesting directions. There's no harm in sending someone a follow-up thank you note. We met at Ithaca College's career fair. We talked about this. And I just want to say thank you for talking with me. I really enjoyed our conversation. It was cool to hear about whatever they told you about. You know, if you're interested in exploring something with them, it's okay to say, you know, I'd love to talk to you more about your opportunities. You might it be possible for us to schedule some time? If you're not, but let's say they gave you something that was helpful. You mentioned X, Y, Z, and that was really helpful advice, and I just want to say thank you. That stuff goes a long way. You never know, your paths may cross again. And there may be a time when you do find a way to intersect and work together, or you're just a cool person they met and they like you, and something comes up out of the blue that has nothing to do with what they do, but everything to do with what you do, and they remember you. I've had that happen. I think many of us have had that happen, just that random thing that leads to opportunity. It's kind of about reputation, isn't it? Follow up with us, right? If you came out of that fair, it's easy to come out of the fair and be psyched, right? Oh, yeah. And then what happens? We go to class. We go to practice. We go to rehearsal. We get pulled back into our day-to-day life. And we're excited about that thing, but it's sort of over here now, right? And we don't want to keep it over here, right, if we want to act on it. So one of the ways to sort of pull it back over is to get with us and say, I went to the career fair, and here are some places that are kind of connected with, could we talk through strategies for next steps, and we'll help you plan it out, right? Everybody needs a coach, and that's what we do really, really well here, I think. Questions? Does this make sense? What do you want to know? What are you excited about, worried about, need more information about? Something immediately comes to mind? Yeah.
I have a question. So, like, if you meet someone but they don't really have any like internship or job opportunities at the moment, like, how do you keep in touch with them?
Great question, right? This is what I would do. One, I'd send them that follow-up note. Thank you so much for talking with me. I recognize you don't have opportunities right now, but I am fascinated by what you shared with me and would definitely be interested in that in the future. In the meantime, do you ever do job shadows, right? Job shadow, if anyone's not familiar with that, is basically you spend some time with someone in a field, and you watch what they do, and you get to ask them questions and interact, and they get to know you. Job shadows frequently can lead to internships. Internships can lead to jobs, right? So that would be one strategy. Now let's say they're like, no, we don't really do that during the semester, maybe during the summer. Second thing, that's a kind of a good stay in touch technique. Well, LinkedIn, right? Because you can connect up with people. I like holidays too, right? Let's say you meet someone and it's Thanksgiving coming up or the holiday season. You say, oh, we met at the college and, we spoke about this. I really appreciated your insight. Just wanted to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. Right? Holidays can kind of be your friend. Or let's say in class, you covered something related to that person's field, right? Maybe you read an article, maybe you discussed groundbreaking research. I was thinking of you. In class the other day, we read this interesting article about this research, and it made me think about our conversation, and I wanted to share it with you. Now, if someone did that to you, how would you feel?
Pretty exciting.
Right, like, wow, they remembered me, right? They cared enough to think this might be helpful to me. Yeah. Little things like that. Good question. What else? Well, it's okay if you don't have other questions. Jonathan. Oh,
So-
wait.
Oh,
Students
yeah,
first.
go ahead. Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
So like, I'm a music ed major, so most of my experience on my resume is mainly music related or
Sure.
education based.
Of course.
But like, if I wanted to do an internship that wasn't like education based, would they like rely on my resume for me to be able to like get accepted for it, or like, would they like, I don't know, if it makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Your experience is what your experience is. but there's this wonderful thing in life called transferable skills. As a music ed person, what are things you do?
I perform. I also teach. Yeah, I do student teaching sometimes.
Yeah, so you have to communicate complex concepts to people.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Mhm.
You have to, I assume you don't just get up and just speak, right?
Right.
I imagine, do you have to plan those things you're gonna teach?
Oh yeah, like lesson plans and all that. Yeah.
Involves some writing skills, doesn't it?
Mhm.
How about organizational skills?
Yeah.
Right, you see where I'm
That's-
going?
Yeah.
Now, do you think most people would want those skills? Good communication skills, good organizational skills, writing skills, right? Yeah, we're all like, yeah, come on, apply to us. Right. So a lot of times what happens is we know the things we've done in the context of how we've done them. But the underlying skills are more universal than that typically. So my advice is think about it like that. And if you're still not sure, how do I frame it in relationship to this? This is where we come in, right? We could say, okay, have you thought about this? Do you do, by the way, do you do this other thing? And you'd be like, yeah, I do that other thing. Well, let's put that on there too, right? A lot of it's recontextualizing, but I would feel very confident that you have many of the underlying skills that would work in many other fields.
And I'll add to that to say that most of the companies that are coming here tomorrow are looking for that. It's not that they're necessarily coming here to look for somebody, in broadcast or someone in psychology. They're looking for the Ithaca College liberal arts, well-rounded skill set.
Yep.
So you going tomorrow to this should feel empowered to talk to, just like John said, to talk to any of them, because they're here specifically for your skill set. They're not necessarily here if, MLB Network wants to come here and meet with a certain cohort of students. They're gonna do that differently in a different setting
Right.
with Susie. All right, the career fair is going to be lots of different companies that are looking for just exactly that skill set that you described right there.
I'll give you some brief homework. It will take you no more than 3 minutes, but it will be a worthwhile 3 minutes. On our website, which is ithaca.edu/careers, if you go down the left side, you'll see competencies. Click on that document. It's from an organization called NACE. It's a national organization. We're a member school. And every year they poll employers and they say, what are the 8 most important things you seek in candidates? None of them directly tie into one academic discipline or profession. If you look at those, you'll be like, oh yeah, I have that. And then you think about, here's the context I've done it. Looking at that tonight could actually be very helpful to everybody as you think about how might I share part of my story with someone else. But those are good things to know. Yeah.
Should you be upfront with the people you're talking to about what you're looking for? Like, if you're looking for an internship in the summer, should you try to say that right away, or?
I think it's okay. I mean, I think you want to do 2 things, right? You want to have a conversation, right? So look at networking as beyond the transactional, right? The goal of having an internship is a great goal, right? That's the transactional part of the goal. The other part of the goal is to learn, right? So they're going to ask you, what are you looking for? Or when are you looking? And of course you can be transparent with that, right? But if they had an opportunity to shadow in the spring, would that be interesting? Maybe, right? We don't know. Let's say it was a shadowing weekend or some kind of deep dive thing, right? So I think it's have an idea of what you want, be transparent with it, but be open, right? Because sometimes when we're like here, we miss some things that are just a degree or 2 removed that we might be like, oh, I could do that, and I'd be excited to do that, right? Yeah, Paula.
When you're there, they're looking to be giving you these opportunities, right? Like, it's not something that you should feel, I guess, like you're reaching for. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I think I did. They're there because they have needs, right? Some of those needs are immediate. Some of them are cyclical, right? Maybe they're looking for the most immediate cycle. Maybe the most immediate cycle isn't yours. Although in your case, many of them probably are thinking summer. So that's in your wheelhouse. But let's pretend you were looking for fall. So you find the perfect thing, but it's in the summer. A very appropriate question would be, I'm really excited about this, but I'm not available in the summer. Do you ever offer it in the fall or in the spring? Worst they'll say is no, right? But more likely they'll say yes. Good question. Have fun with it is my advice, right? It's just conversation. We do conversation every single day of our lives, right? Nobody came here planning what we were going to hear. We knew we were going to talk about a focused topic, but beyond that, we didn't know what was going to happen. Right? We're just humans having conversations about things we care about. That's really what you're trying to do at a career fair. Find other humans with some intersecting interests, talk with them. Even that act of talking and sharing builds skills, but often it also builds opportunity. Any other questions? They don't have to be, but I don't like to close it until I make sure. Jonathan, yes, sir.
So if I walk up to a table
Yes.
and it's an employer that I really want to talk about,
Mhm.
but somebody's already there, there's already another student got there ahead of me.
Whether,
What do I do?
whether you're competition, so knock them down.
Yeah, kick them out of the way.
Yeah, right. No. Couple of strategies. One, you can wait politely. Waiting politely doesn't mean sidling up next to them and sort of inserting yourself in the conversation. I would, if Jonathan is standing right there talking to Dave, and I want to talk to Jonathan, I'm not going to be like right up on Dave. I'm not going to be like right behind him. I might be over here. I'm going to take in the rest of the environment. I'm going to occasionally look over. If I see they're in a conversation that they seem to be into, I'm not going to bust it on them, right? I don't know about you. Have you ever been in a great conversation, somebody comes up out of the blue and just blows it up? That irritates me, personally. What I'm going to do if I want to talk to Jonathan, I'm going to make another circle. And if, well, who else do I want to talk to? And I'll work my way back. I'll work my way back. There are some fairs I've been to where people queue up. If it's that kind of thing, you can do that. But I often like to think about what other things could I be doing rather than standing in the line, right? Who else could I be talking to? Right?
I think sometimes depending on what the conversation is,
Sure.
it's helpful. Like you're not eavesdropping, right? It's not like a private conversation that you're having. Sometimes the person right ahead of you asks the question, hey, what does your company do? And you can benefit from kind of listening in.
Yeah, I feel, right.
Yeah, so like, sometimes it's okay to like stand and wait and listen. But I appreciate like not, because you don't want somebody to horn in if you're having a good conversation too.
A lot of times when organizations are at the events and they're kind of saying the what we do, they will sort of cluster people.
Yeah.
If they say a number, oh, everybody, come on, you want to hear it? Yeah, okay. And then they kind of give the pitch to everybody. Yeah.
When I hear us talking about queuing up, it kind of makes me think like, if you're there looking for something, which I mean, there's a few seniors in here, like we probably are. If you're there and you're like behind 5 people and you're talking to somebody at the end of the fair, is the chances of you like potentially getting something out of it a lot less than if you like talk to somebody at the beginning, or are they not necessarily giving anybody anything on the day?
There isn't, to my knowledge, a strategic advantage of being first person in or middle or last. I think, is that sort of what you're asking me?
I mean, yeah, I guess, but if you're like, if I talk to somebody at the beginning of the fair and they're like, oh, like you seem really like a good candidate to be doing something with us, and then they meet like 7 other people who seem more qualified than me, I'm just thinking like,
it's not usually that zero sum. Often there's more than one opportunity. And so I think a lot of times you get to someone when you get to them, and you don't always have control over that. So I think what counts is how you've prepared, what you know about them that you can sort of reflect back as you're talking with them, how well you share what your interests and needs are, and then follow up. I think so much of it happens in the follow up, right? You could be the first person, you could be the seventh person, and you could be the most awesome person they think they met. But if you drop the ball after, right, that can change that. So I think consistency is big, and at that point they don't generally walk out and go, Jonathan's my guy, Dave's my guy, this guy not my guy, or they don't know that yet.
What is the best thing that I guess you could expect to hear from one of them if like they're excited about you?
I think it would be something along the lines of follow up with me.
Okay.
Or, you know, if you're interested in pursuing this, here's how you do it. You know, apply through our system, shoot me a note, let me know you applied, that kind of stuff. I say this with pretty strong certainty, nobody's walking away with a job tomorrow. Right? But what you probably can walk away with is a pathway to a next step that will lead you down that road. These are good questions. And again, I want to say tomorrow, you know, if you're having them as you're there, like, oh, I wish I had asked you about that yesterday when we were there. Ask, right? You know. Most recruiters that you're going to meet, by the way, are really, really nice. Most of them are nice. Right? They're not there to intimidate you. They're not there for any other reason than to meet you and interact with you and share what they have and see if it intersects with what you want. That's the point. Some of them are better at it than others, but most of them are very seasoned and you know, have been to many career fairs. They love energy as much as you love energy, right? You come up to me and I'm like this, right? Versus I'm a little more animated and I'm listening to you and I'm looking and I'm hearing your story, right? Just how we connect with people on the day-to-day basis applies here as well. If there are no additional questions, there are additional cookies. And I would encourage everyone to avail themselves, right? Go away hungry, it's your fault. And I'll stick around for a little bit if you have questions you want to share with me more.
Everybody scanning.
Moo.